this webinar, we're going to be looking at the next evolution or the future of coaching. And there's this massive shift happening within coaching and therapy. And we're going to kind of like outline what that is. So if you work with people as a teacher, as a coach, as a therapist, or whatever modality you use, this is really going to help you kind of like keep up to date, a little bit like a masterclass, and also hopefully give a bit of awareness or insights around being able to work with people in a really embodied, authentic, non-fragmented way. So the old paradigm, I'm just going to say coaching as an umbrella term, because there's lots of different ways of coaching and modalities. I'll just say coaching. So the old paradigm of coaching is a little bit like you're the expert. You've kind of got the answers. I'm talking in very broad general terms, and it's not going to be true for all coaches, obviously. But generally speaking, you're the expert, you've got the answers, and you are administering or sharing something where people can rapidly get better, like hacks and instant fixes, and is kind of top down. And we're going to explain what that means shortly. And the old paradigm is kind of like you're sharing something, but it's a little bit fragmented. And we're going to explain what that means as well. So in a nutshell, old paradigm, expert, you've got the answers, instant fix, top down, fragmented approach. And even with that, and we're going to unpack what all that means, even with that, people can still obviously have the most beautiful life-changing insights and progress and have wonderful experiences. So what we're trying not to do is say this is wrong and this is right, because you could read a Kellogg's cornflake packet and have an insight that will change your life. You can go to a knitting circle, this is your example, and that co-regulation, that community can just make you more heartfelt. So there is insight and wisdom in everything. What we found, the new wave of coaching, people are dropping the expert and becoming their fellow human. If you've ever been to somebody and they're kind of like, so tell me about your childhood. I don't know. If you get a sense that they're looking down on you, or you feel that they've got something you haven't got, or they've got the answers and they're going to administer it to you, okay, there's that sensation or feeling of a person. But then what happens if you go to someone and they're really down to earth, they see eye to eye, they're genuinely interested in you. They're not coming across as I know better than you, but they're like meeting you eye to eye. Okay. Can you sense or feel the difference in that approach? In fact, hands up here who, if they've ever met a coach or just another person, they're so utterly in the same boat as you, and they're so non-judgmental and non-expert that it's really helped you. Hands up who've ever encountered one of those human beings. Yeah. And so the crazy thing is that, so I used to be one of those human beings, and before I was a coach, and eye to eye, down to earth, and then I learnt coaching, and then almost I became the expert, and there was a bit of a mismatch in being able to go back to myself again. Does that make any sense, guys? Have you ever experienced that? Yeah. So of course, accreditations, qualifications are good. You know, having boundaries, having confidentiality agreements, all of these things in the form, I'm not saying throw it out the window, they're very helpful and they help you as a coach. And they give you authority and authenticity if you're accredited, or if you've trained with so-and-so. But what I'm saying, once you've got those, put them on the wall, but come back to being human. Come back to leading with the heart. Sometimes you just need to get a rag and wipe away all of your expertise and techniques. Wipe away all the belief systems and just be with people just as they are, just as you are. And in that space of humanity, humility, sameness, oneness, something speaks through you that you could never have learnt. Wisdom isn't learnt, it's earned. is earned through your own struggles, through your own experiences, through you going through things and coming out the other side. So tell me your experience of, you were saying before we started about the expert and you being the client in psychiatry. And
Oh yeah. Well, before I had my sudden cardiac arrest and my near-death experience, I was almost required to go see these psychiatrists and psychologists, and what I realized, and this isn't a is that they had all of these PhDs, but I call it a beaver cleaver, and that's meaning like the perfect household. They were born with a very structured, grounded household, and they didn't have an embodied experience of what I was going through. They had an intellectual, book-read understanding of what a person may go through if they experience this. So that's that mismatch. And it was actually a really, really, really good experience for me, because now, fast forward to now, we want nothing more than to be a fellow human. And I do need to say, these individuals, after my near-death experience, I could see energy around people, and many individuals with these degrees that haven't experienced, or I don't know their history, but their heart was closed. And what's the electromagnetic? It's the largest 5,000.
Yeah, so the heart's electromagnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the mind,
yes,
or the brain.
Than the brain.
Yeah.
And so I didn't understand what I was seeing at that moment until I found all of the science. I didn't even know what heart math was. Had no idea who Dr. Stephen Porges or Gabor Mate were. But I did know I saw what I saw in these very, very elite intellectual academic individuals who were the experts. There's a part of our heart, the transversus thoracic muscles, they're muscles around the heart, and there's a tighter one. It closes when we experience too much too soon, or something developmental for a long time. And these are generally the people, they want to help, but they want to help at an intellectual, academic level. They don't understand that their heart is closed, that their energy around the heart isn't expressing out. I guess that was hindsight. That was something that I realized when I put everything together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, obviously you can have a PhD and be open-hearted.
Yeah.
You can have a PhD and have had your own struggles and come from an embodied place, obviously.
Absolutely.
And some of them have. But I guess what we're pointing to is that we need to get rid of the expert and become the fellow human.
Yeah.
Because there's something called entrainment, and it's very well researched that your heart coherence, the energetic field of the heart, has been shown to measurably impact other people. The more heart coherent, the more open-hearted you are. Because that is, again, 5,000 times greater electromagnetic field than the brain.
Yeah.
So if someone's talking to you from, what you should do and techniques and the theories they've learnt, as opposed to having embodied, been through it and seeing no separation between you and them, that heart's electromagnetic field is powerful.
Yeah, that's why we interviewed Dr. Rollin McCraty from Heart Math, because he was talking about how thought doesn't do it. It's the electromagnetic field around the heart, and the heart emanates, expresses, and magnifies if the body is harmonized. And so that's when we started dipping into the nervous system and the importance of that.
Yeah.
We have to think of ourselves as multidimensional beings. What we feel inside does not stop at the skin. We are broadcasting and radiating those emotions into the field environment. Right? Now, how do I know this? can measure it, right? This is not some theory. Now, the next step in that line of research was to ask the question, does our nervous system also act, not only are we broadcasting, but are we receiving these biologically generated signals? And so our state, how coherent or incoherent we are, or whatever our emotional state is, can measurably affect others around us. So it's just nice to be able to put science to these things and then be able to show, and in your business, if you are a therapist or a coach or anything, or salesman, anything where your state is measurably affecting others around you, pay attention to your level of coherence. And what I'm about to say may sound like a new discovery, okay? But it's not. And that is that the heart sends far more neural information through the nervous system to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Okay? That's been known since the 1800s. In fact, psychology was based on this knowledge from the 1880s or so up until about 1930s or so.
So interesting.
And then it all became about the brain.
Yeah.
And so a lot of rediscoveries had to go on.
So the first point is that the wave of coaching is going away from the expert. I'm not saying you shouldn't get a PhD or get accredited or training stuff. I'm saying that even with that, it's being able to kind of throw your conditioning away and just sit with people in our shared humanity. And from that heart space, miracles literally happen. We had one psychotherapist, registered psychotherapist, come on training a little while ago. And we've got an interview with him, so I can send you to that if you want. But he's saying what used to take him years with a client is now happening in a matter of weeks. Why? Because he's coming from the heart space. It's very, very powerful. Okay, next thing, and this is a little bit disruptive, so again, I apologize. There's a lot of instant quick fixes, hack the vagus nerve, all you need is an insight and then everything changes. And there's a little bit of truth in that. You had a near-death experience and it changed stuff for you. You've had a 106, like a spiritual, high vibrational frequency thing, and it has really helped.
It shifted a perspective.
However, neither of us, it did nothing whatsoever for ingrained nervous system states in our bodies. And I know and I'm not going to name any names, that I've worked with, hung out with, and taught with a few enlightened people in my time, and it didn't do anything for them either, as far as their deeply implicit nervous system states. They're still triggering off it. So I think what people do, the thing is, well, all you need to have is an insight and then everything changes. There's a bit of truth in that. But if you've had decades of, and Jules will talk about this shortly, ingrained nervous system states, it's not going to do much for that. It can help you feel better and maybe make you feel part of something bigger, and it may help your self-judgment a little bit, or a sense of the bigger thing behind life. But as far as deeply ingrained nervous system patterns, often it doesn't do anything for that whatsoever. The evolution of coaching is going away from you just need an insight, hack your nervous system, you just need to do this quick technique and it changes everything, to embodied daily practices, doing the work, going within, and being able to integrate these nervous system responses. Now, that isn't sexy, because most people just want to have an insight. They just want to have a quick hack. They're just going to read this book or talk to that coach, and then their whole life's going to get so much better. And in our experience, it helps a bit. Again, you could be knitting and have an insight that's going to change your life. But as far as, okay, so obviously you won't name any names, but could you practically say the people that have come to you with what they were suffering from and where they are now?
Yeah.
Just to give these guys a bit of an idea of what we're talking about.
Okay, so a lot of the individuals that come, first of all, I want to say I cheated. I always say this, but I cheated because I could see the energy moving upward in a spiral. And that's something that's now embodied. I am very sure of it. And then added the science to and we explained that in a couple of other webinars, that it's not a nice idea. It's not a theory. It's anatomy. The energy, 90 to 95% of all information arises from the body to the brain. It's been known for almost 100 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so when people come, they say, "Oh, I've done this. I've been doing this understanding for 20 years, and can you help me? Can you help me?" They have adaptations that may be addiction to some benzodiazepine, adaptations that may be relationship based, where relationship after relationship after relationship. And so working with these individuals,
So chronic lifelong anxiety,
chronic lifelong
lifelong
anxiety,
depression,
yes,
like extreme
yeah,
agitation, reactivity. Anyway, so carry on.
every single one of those are expressing from our body. Every single one of those. But the thing is what happens is we were taught to look at somebody, collect the constellation of adaptations, the constellation of behaviors, the constellation of thought patterns, put a label on it, and then address it from there. But really, when we work with the body, when we work with the nervous system, but it's more than just the nervous system. It's the entire being, the biochemical, electromagnetic, plasma-like being. Work with the being. These things soften and begin to fall away. They understand. And it takes time. And that's one of the things that,
It isn't sexy again.
yeah.
People have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're, sorry, I'll just say
No,
this and you
go
can
ahead, go
continue.
ahead. No.
If you're under the idea that you just need to do this technique or you just need to go on another course or all you need is an insight, if you're under that belief system, that's basically saying that you don't need to go in yourself and do the work. And so if you've got that belief system, and many people have, they just don't really progress because the belief system gets in the way of their own evolution. Truth isn't in a belief system. Truth is before belief system. It's before concept. In my mind, truth, if there is such a thing, it's not in knowing anything. It's not in having anything. It's in the undoing and the unraveling and the uncertainty and the humility. And only in humility, only when you're not sure, does something, the universe floods in. And in that space of the dissolving of beliefs, you go, okay, well, I've been trying this for 20 years. Let's try something else.
Yes.
And
And
that's the kind of
yes,
client we get.
that
They've
is.
done everything and they're not getting anywhere. They have to try something different.
And some clients have come with like a bruise, like on their face. First meeting, and I asked what happened, and they said that they were banging their head against the wall so they could stop the thoughts. So they're working again from the constellation of expression, the constellation, what's rising, the symptoms. It's like brushing, or it's like changing, changing the oil filter in a car. I mean, it's so, because it's dirty. Instead of changing the oil itself, instead of cleansing the oil itself, it's like taking a fan and blowing the exhaust away from the back of a car to make it better. And instead of going in and understanding
And
why
turning
the
the current
exhaust,
enough.
it's why the exhaust, why the pain, why the wound, why the thoughts. It's deeper. It's deeper.
I think the next evolution of coaching isn't to sign people up to one way of one perspective of reality. It isn't trying to get them to believe what you believe. It's helping them go beyond modalities, beyond gurus, them needing the answers outside of themselves, for them to go within themselves and find it within themselves. No middleman. In fact, one of the greatest compliments we can get is when people say, "We don't need you anymore."
I love that. I had a client come and was in a very cognitive understanding for quite some time, and then we worked with him. And then a couple months later, he emails again and said, I want you to see my mom.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like so nervous. I was like, okay, okay. And then his mom, oh my gosh, she said, it took a bit. It took a bit of time. And I love it because the whole family was involved. But then she's comes and shows up and she's knitting and she says, I don't need you anymore. She's knitting and she's so cute. Everybody should know this. And I'm going to send some people your way.
Mm.
You know, there's a lot of people in my knitting group who could use you. But she was just, oh, I love her and I miss her. But it's sort of a bittersweet, you know.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to be more disruptive again. I do apologize. I can't help this coming out my mouth, to be honest. But if you're under the impression that the guru, the coach, has the answers, right, and that you can instantly resolve all of your long-term issues and nervous system with one insight, what's happening is you will constantly look outside. You'll need more sessions. You go on conference after conference, course after course, read book after book, go to this event, that event. You're constantly trying for spiritual means having no form. You're going to the form of spirituality, ironically, to find the formless within yourself. And then the guru becomes a business peddler that you then need to find the truth within yourself. If you're a coach or a guru and people need you to administer the truth, what I'm trying to say is if you genuinely value other people, you won't give them the answers. You help them find their own answers.
Yeah.
If you're a genuine guru, you're not giving them or telling them what truth is. You can give your version of obviously, but you want to help them find it within themselves, unique to them.
Mhm.
What does that mean practically? If your guru isn't getting you to reflect, if you're not learning anybody in practices or meditations or breath work or something practically in the world, when you do the work and when you go within yourself and you practice to go within, that's when the answers come out. It's very hard to find the truth within if you're constantly in the power of thought. What am I thinking? Analyzing what I'm thinking, changing what I'm thinking. All of that busyness is a distraction from the deeper presence here.
Yeah. One of the things my teacher said, I found him, tracked him down, and met him. Dr. Stephen Porges, when I took the first course with him, I was trying to figure out a word to describe what I saw. And I said to him during class, my very first class, is I said, it's perception and then some. We experience life with all of our senses and then some. Percepio is all of our, and he said, no. He said, language, language. When you tell somebody that it's just their perception or it's perception, that's too intentional.
Mm.
People take that, they look at that, and they believe that they're doing something wrong. It's below perception. So he came up with the word neuroception. Neuroception is our body's silent scanning, and that's how we survive as a human species. So when people come to us as clients, their neuroception is detecting threat. So the very first and foremost thing that I do before I even step into a one-to-one is calm my nervous system, harmonize it via breath, via my safety sandwich, via comfort. So then when I see them, the nonverbal communication that happens below conscious awareness as soon as before they even log in, they sense it.
People can assume that, well, if it's my thinking doing this, then it's my
My
fault.
fault.
And that's actually a very common assumption, and you're innocent in having that assumption from a top-down perspective. You know, it's intentional. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm doing this to myself, etc., etc. So as a coach, if you don't understand the nervous system and the body, your clients are still going to be judging themselves because it's their fault, it's their thinking. When you go to what's creating the thoughts or originating the thoughts in the first place, you see, wow, as humans, these divine humans, we have these nervous system states that will shut us down when we've been overextending ourselves. And knowing that, you're not going to feel that you're being lazy or lethargic or unmotivated. You know your body is trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
You have nervous system states of being in high alert or sympathetic, and you also see, oh wow, I'm not doing this on purpose. My body doesn't feel safe. There's these three broad states, and we've done a whole video on this, so we won't go there. But all of a sudden, the judgment comes out of your humanity because you see your physiology is literally putting you in certain states on purpose for your own safety.
Yeah. And it's the sense of safety. So
Yeah.
deeper than feeling. It's the sense state. It's the chemistry and biology that when we understand and we learn to listen to our own unique messages that our body is sending, it shifts this constellation of symptoms.
Yeah.
Things begin to fall away.
My mum couldn't get out of bed for like months and months and months. And she judged herself for it. And she didn't know. I remember as a kid, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But she's like, Rudy, can you make me some food? And I was like, oh, for God's sake, mum, you know, you're the mum, you should make me food. I was just a little shit, basically. Well, actually, I wasn't so bad. I'm probably exaggerating. But I didn't understand. And she said, oh, can you phone so and so and say that I just can't do it? I didn't understand why my mum was so exhausted. And now it makes sense. Like she wasn't doing it on purpose. It wasn't just her thinking. It's like if you go through the trauma my mum went through and then bringing three kids up by herself and working freaking full time and having an abusive husband for a while, my mum's energy got so totally depleted from having to deal with all that. She was burnt out for like a year. If you're burnt out, you're not doing anything wrong. It's a physiological state trying to keep you alive. Okay. Like your phone flashes when it's almost out of battery and you need to plug it in the charger. Burnout is like, okay, you need to plug your humanness into a charger, which means it's going to shut you down. It's going to make you seemingly lazy. I could go on. If you do not understand the nervous system as a coach, you do not understand the full range of human experience. Seriously. And I know I'm being kick-ass here. I didn't understand. I used to teach the full range of human experience for 20 years, but I didn't know what I know now. And so, overview, the evolution of coaching. You're not the expert, you become the fellow human. You don't just coach with your head, you entrain with your heart. You don't just shift around the power of thought and thinking and belief systems. You look at the whole person as one spiritual, physiological, biological, energetic, plasma-like, whole entangled being with the nature of the universe. You see the whole person. You quit giving your clients answers and you help them learn how to go within themselves to find their own answers. It's a very different paradigm to one other thing. If you give the impression as a coach or the expert that you got your life sorted, that you never have a bad day, that you're always happy and smiley and joy is the purpose of being alive, then you can make your clients feel worse because they can never be like you or they can never attain that. I want to say one thing. To me, and it's only my opinion, the three greatest teachers in human history, I think, just my perspective, was probably Jesus, the Buddha, and Muhammad, the originators of all the world's major religions. You know what happened with Jesus or the difficulty he went through? We all probably know what happened with Jesus, okay? But Muhammad, right? Muhammad was an orphan. He was brought up on the streets. Like he had a lot of grit growing up. He got vilified. There was fights, there was wars. Like he had a very difficult life. The Buddha okay, he had a pretty difficult life. He was vilified as well. He was chased out of villages. And then at the age of 80, his entire Sangha, or his spiritual community, got murdered by the king at the time.
Mm.
Now, if you've got a belief that if you get into spirituality, you should be perfectly peaceful and nothing ever bad's going to happen and that everything's great and joyous all the time, that is a belief system that isn't true. Okay. We're in physical reality, shit happens. We have physical bodies, like we could lose our jobs. Like the belief system that if you get the understanding everything should be peaceful all the time, it isn't true. It's a very sugar-coated candy floss idea of spirituality. So the new evolution of coaching isn't to vilify people if they're having challenges or a hard
Right.
time. It isn't to tell them, well, it's just you're thinking about it, so you should be thinking differently. It's not the direction of the new evolution. The new evolution of coaching is supporting people where they're at. If they're having challenges, they're not doing anything wrong. If they're in these physiological states, that is normal. We're all human. If I could say the next evolution of coaching in one word, you know what it would be? Compassion. Compassion comes from understanding the entirety of our lives, the nervous system,
Yeah.
the fact that everything ebbs and flows.
Hmm.
And I think if you're missing part of that whole thing I was saying, you're not working with the whole person, you're working with fragments and parts of them, they're going to judge themselves.
Right. And I think honoring that everybody is unique. Everybody's on their own uniquely divine path. Everybody comes to me with their own unique stories, their own unique history, their own unique adaptations.
Mm.
And so uncovering that, I don't know what their truth is, but together we uncover their truth. Their truth is unique to them and whatever that path may be. And also, it's a process. Life is a process. We are biochemical, so we're constantly processing life's experience. It's participatory.
Yeah.
Right now, my experience with Rudy is participating below conscious awareness. There's a participation, it's communicative, it communicates. That is how we evolve, we survive as a human species. That's how every single mammal and tree survives. There's this communicative co-regulation going on.
Yeah. And then emotions like joy or peacefulness or serenity or happiness are just really byproducts of all that.
Right.
But the goal doesn't become joy or happiness. There is no goal. And in this sheer utter normality of your life, the most simple thing like seeing the sunlight reflecting on a water or feeling the grass on your bare feet or the laughter of your child,
Mm.
it becomes the most exquisitely divine thing. Just the sheer normality of this incredible existence we call life. Like you stop having goals. You do, there's things you want to do that you work towards, but there's this utter, you don't need approval from anyone. You don't need to be validated. Like you don't, there's just the scaffolding of needing other people and being approved and people saying they like you and follow, that all that external scaffolding just dissolves to an internal presence that remains with you with no neediness, no guru, no middleman, no coach, no book. Doesn't care, it doesn't matter what you look like or what job you've got or where you live or what you drive. Like there's just this sheer normality in your wholality. It sounds like a rap. Wholality in your normality. The presence of being, if you will. And I'm not talking about joy, that's part of it,
Mhm.
but the freaking groundedness of not needing anyone or anything, but
Yeah.
loving to be with everyone and do everything. It's it's a different frequency of existence. And you can't help your clients reach that if you're just talking about thought, or if you're just working with the nervous system
Right.
and you ignore our spirituality.
Mhm.
You know, it's a whole system. Body, mind, spirit are entangled in nature. Like
Mm.
hence why we came up with the term wholality and created our own way of perceiving all of it or wholeseeing all of it because we couldn't find
Oh,
anything
thieving. Yeah.
wide
Rudy came
enough.
up with that word.
What if our true nature was just nature, and nature ebbs and flows, waxes and wanes? From a human perspective, we're motivated, then we're not. We're happy, then we're sad. We are in social engagement, we're communicative, and then we want to retire and not talk to anyone. Whatever is okay to be human. This is what wholality coaching is. It helps people be okay with their humanness, the full range. You're not striving for joy or high vibration. You're within the whole vibration of all of it.
Yeah. I have a chapter in my book. The only thing true about my true nature is nature. And it really, and then I go in deeper and deeper and deeper, honoring all that you are. And that means the ebbs and flows, the pings and the pulls, the laughter and the tears, all of it. It's all necessary. It's divine.
Rumi said, wounds are where the light comes in, or something. I
Oh
probably
yeah.
butchered that, but it's not vilifying difficulties.
Steve, when is the book coming out?
I'm going to read these. It makes so much sense and feels so much deeper and a huge relief. It's not just about thought. Beautiful sense. I've always noticed how we connect with some people so well, and it's always when your heart is open as theirs is. I feel compassion is a real source of loving ourselves.
Mm.
And I come to this very early in my teachings with you. Beautiful. When is the book coming out?
I want to add to that, and I want to say compassion is an emergent process that ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows. There isn't anything wrong if you don't have compassion that's deeper. It emerges. It emerges from the depth of understanding all that you are. And when you understand all that you are, not who you really are, all that you are, you can see yourself deeper and then hold space for humanity deeper. You can call that compassion.
So we've had someone say about they have difficulty paying for courses and stuff. And so we've spent the last year creating resources to help support people.
Yeah, we
And,
made it. Yeah.
and literally the tier one membership is affordable for anybody. It's costs less than going out for a meal, and that includes some live content as well. And then you could obviously train as a Wholality facilitator coach with us as well. So I've put the link into the Wholality membership. Have a look at that. Really, that's just to support you regardless of your socioeconomic background. Throw Wholality away, ignore everything we say, like burn our book. I don't care.
Mhm.
Go back to yourself.
Your humanity.
Find your own answers. Quit the middleman of the
Yes.
guru or the coach or the best-selling author or the expert.
Mhm.
Go within yourself. Find your own answers. Work from compassion, which is almost impossible with a dysregulated nervous system, I might add. So understand that. That will open your heart as a byproduct. Okay, so overview. Old paradigm. You're the expert. You've got the answers. You administer the truth. You generally only work with just thinking or just the nervous system or just energy, spirituality, vibration. New paradigm. You are a fellow freaking human being. You coach for your electromagnetic heart space in humility and fellow humanness. You work with a whole person, body, mind, spirit, plasma-like energy. You take the clients within themselves.
Right. And you understand, you honor, because I've heard this thrown around, oh, they don't understand where their experience is coming from. But within Wholality, I don't know where my client's experience is coming from because I have not lived their life. I do not know their adaptations until I get to know them.
Then that makes sense.
Then I understand, we unfold, we integrate. We understand within Wholality that these adaptations, these behavior before cognitive awareness, before thought, these behaviors before thought, whether it's a bracing inward that's very difficult to see or an expression outward, all of that happens below conscious awareness and from the body, and it's not something we can get to with analyzing or with the analytical brain. And I just need to say this, it happens via the somatic arc. So there's some sort of participatory expression, energy, something's happening in the world, and it could happen over and over and over again. That happens via the spine, bypasses the brain, and it's called the somatic arc. That is the behavior before thought. When that happens over and over and over and over again, they're adaptations. So this is what I want to say. This is like what you're trying to say is honoring all that you are, and honoring that we don't know what our clients have been through until we get to know them. Read that last.
You are a conduit for love and truth. It is your being, not your doing, which counts. Oh,
Well,
thank
take me
you.
to know one.
Oh,
I want to say that.
thank you. I can feel your love.
Yeah.
It was natural. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, that is it. We're going to be doing on the membership. We do loads of live webinars all the time. So click that link. Come and join us if you can. We're going to get a cool little group together so we can explore, and all of us together can just share our own evolutions. Thank you, guys. Lots of love to you. We'll see you very soon. Mwah.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Lots of love.